White Sox are having. Hopefully, the Royals are going to be. The trade deadline did affect him. It affected all the guys. That it was hard coming to the ballpark and not really knowing what the future held for all of them. It is still very surprising overall that the Cubs didn't keep any of the major guys from that 2016 team. I mean, you figured that there wouldn't be enough cash to go around for everybody, but that core of just, looking more at the offensive players, pitchers, they did keep Kyle Hendricks, who had a breakout 2016. I mean, in 2015, you didn't necessarily think that Hendricks was going to be a star. He broke out in 2016. But between Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Addison Russell, they're all gone. And it's just, and Contreras it feels like it's a foregone conclusion that he's gone too at this point. That why in the world would they keep him at this point? Why Albert Almora, another piece there. Contreras is the last man standing, and there's no reason to think that they'd keep him around. You got a catcher who's in his late 20s that is starting to show some knee problems and things like that. And they're very clearly, they're doing, while not a complete teardown, they're definitely starting a rebuild. Why would you keep Contreras? You can trade. You've got some young catchers in the system. You can bring them along a little bit, get something for Contreras. It's just amazing that none of those guys are going to ultimately stick around. You would have thought that somebody, now you could have made the arguments. I made the arguments plenty of times. I wanted Chris Bryant. I knew Chris Bryant wasn't going to be back, but he was the guy I wanted. Yet, here we are, and all of them are gone. It is still kind of startling and surprising when you look at it and see that they're all gone. The Cubs, though, right now did have a great weekend. They took 2 out of 3 in San Diego, then they took 2 out of 3 in Arizona, and now they're heading to the bottom of the second against the Pirates. They're obliterating them 8-0, an 8-run first inning by the Cubs. Wilson Contreras is already Contreras and Ian Happ are already both 2 for 2 on the night. They had 13 batters hit in the first inning to go up 8-0 and we're halfway through the second. So looking like they're going to be off to a good start again tonight, and hopefully we'll see some good things there and going forward. But still, interesting times, baseball, both sides of town. Very, very interesting times right now. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, the NFL released its schedule. We've got to talk about it because it's the NFL. You are listening to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Matello, the host of the Yinza Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Want to transition over from baseball into football now. Of course, we had the Bears regular season schedule get announced last week. I still don't understand why this is such a big freaking deal. We've known what the games were going to be since the end of last season. If you want to, if you're enough of a nerd like I am, we already know what 14 of the 17 games next season are going to be. And the other 3 games we can pretty easily figure out by the time the final game rolls around. All this is simply announcing the order. Yet everybody loses their minds when the schedule comes out. Everybody, they're going 10-7. They're going, look at this, look at that. I don't get it. I digress. Thank you for that moment of just letting me vent for a minute. I feel a little bit better now. I actually had some worse rants about that in the past week, but some of it's calmed down now. So anyway, we've got the schedule. Cool bit for me, they begin and end the season at home. That's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. I enjoy that. Week 1 is home against San Francisco. And then week 18 is at home against the Vikings instead of on the road to the Vikings, as it seems to always be every year. It felt like it was habitually, that was just set in stone now, that it had to be Bears at Vikings was obligated, that's how the season ends. Some other kind of fun thing, of course, they're playing the entire NFC East as well as the entire AFC East this season, and then hosting a team from the NFC West, that was San Francisco, a team from the AFC South, that's Houston, as well as then hitting up the Falcons from the NFC South, things like that. Some other fun quirks of the schedule: 2 separate, distinct trips to the Meadowlands. Now, the last time this happened, where they were scheduled to play both the Giants and the Jets on the road in the same season, was 2006, and the NFL actually scheduled it that those were back-to-back games. They played the Giants in a game that got flexed into Sunday night, and then that was the Devin Hester returning the missed field goal for a touchdown game. And then the following week, they were back in the Meadowlands again, but this time playing the Jets. Not quite the same go-around this time. They go to the Meadowlands 2 separate times. They go week 4 to play the Giants. That's October 2nd. And then they go again the week of Thanksgiving, November 27th. They go to face the Jets that time. So it's 2 separate trips to New Meadowlands instead of back-to-back weeks there. As I kind of predicted, not a ton of nationally televised games. Just one Sunday nighter for now. That's week 2 against the Packers. They have the obligatory Thursday night game, week 6, hosting Washington, the Commanders, and then one Monday night game in New England the following week, week 7. They're in New England on Monday night. The rest of the schedule, again, as I kind of expected it would be, they're all noon kicks. They do not, as of right now, they do not have a single game scheduled for a 3:25 or a 3:05 kick. They are all, unless it is a nationally televised Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night, it is Sunday at noon. So it makes it very easy to catch. Also means that the league is not expecting the Bears to be very good this season. Go figure. Their bye week is late. That was something that caught me by surprise. It is week 14. The week of December 11 is finally when the Bears get their bye week. That is late. late in the season, play 13 games before finally getting their bye week, and then they play their final 4. And then the other thing to kind of take away from it, after the home opener, they spend a lot of time on the road. After the home opener, 3 of their next 4 are on the road right away. And then after that, 5 of their next 7 after the home opener total are on the road. They don't get back-to-back home games until November. So they spend the early part of the season, September and October, they're going to be on the road for the overwhelming majority of that time. Only 3 home games total in the months of September and October. Flip side of that, of course, is that means they have a lot of home games in November and December and ultimately January, as they have 2 January games. If you're at all a fan of bear weather and think that makes a difference, there's the potential that a lot of their home games will be played in bear weather. Take that for what it's worth. It's way too early to start talking about how good I think they're going to be based on the schedule, or how good of a schedule this falls for the Bears. There's a million things that are going to happen between now and then. We haven't even had. They're having mini camp this week. They're having some, I'm not sure if they officially designate it mini camp or organized team activities. The point is they're practicing this week. They're doing some practice this week. They'll do some more practice. They'll primarily take June off. They'll have some more practice in July. Then you've got training camp proper in July and early August. You've got the 3 preseason games to be played. Ample opportunity for things to change, for players that you didn't think were going to be big contributors to become big contributors, guys that you thought were going to be critical to suddenly not be critical, guys to get hurt, guys to get traded, rosters to get shaken up. There's plenty of time for things to happen. So to sit here and try to prognosticate and predict how they're going to do because, now we know the order of the games, it's kind of silly. To me, it's silly. I'm not going to waste my time or your time trying to figure it out. Some neat little quirks of the schedule. Last little thing on the schedule. A lot of the divisional games also wound up in the back half of the schedule. They've, of course, week 2 they're in Lambeau Field. That's the Sunday night game. And then week 5, they're at Minnesota. My goodness, playing in Minnesota in October. I couldn't tell you the last time that happened. Then they don't have a divisional game again until week 10. They go the first 9 games. They only have 2 divisional games. They then over the final 8 games, they've got 4. Two-thirds of their divisional schedule are in the final 9 weeks, the final 8 games of the season. So we'll see. We'll see what that does for them, what that means for them. But talking of how the rosters could be different too, there was an article that came out, was published on Sports Mockery. Eric Lambert runs that and talks about that, and he put out an article. He put it out. I want to get the timing on this right of when he published it. It was yesterday. He published it yesterday, and he points out that Akeem Hicks is still a free agent, and he's still out there. Akeem had expressed a lot of interest last year that he wanted to be back. He would love to be back with the Bears. He enjoyed his time in Chicago, and he would like to come back. And the Bears at the time told him, I wonder if there wasn't a mandate from on high from ownership that told Ryan Pace, hey, you're not allowed to sign anybody to any more extensions. You got to prove it this year before you can hand out any more extensions. But even after he was gone, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus have kind of signaled that, no, we're not looking in this direction. Lambert makes the argument that it would be, not only would it be good for Hicks to come back, but it would be good for the Bears to come back. And I got into this discussion today with some other people online. I want to preface this by saying I like Akeem Hicks as a player. He's a great player. I still think at 32 years old, he can produce. He can contribute. He can be a solid player on a good football team. I don't think he's done. Yes, he's dealt with injuries the past few seasons, and you've got to take that into account. Anybody bringing him in has got to realize that he gets hurt anymore. He's not going to go 17 games for you. He's probably only going to go, if you get 10 games out of him, you probably did well at this point. But at this point now, he is a square peg in a round hole for the Bears defense. What I mean by that, Akeem Hicks in the prior defense, when the Bears were running a 3-4, Akeem Hicks played what was labeled a defensive tackle. He was the only defensive tackle on the line. You had defensive end, nose tackle, defensive tackle. Hicks, though, and now with this new defense, there's 2 defensive tackles, 2 ends, 2 tackles. Hey, that means there's a need there for him. What makes Akeem Hicks so good, though, does not translate to the new scheme that Matt Eberflus wants to do, and I'll explain. Akeem Hicks is what sometimes gets referred to as a 5 technique. What that basically means is when you have 3 down linemen, they will line up, the linemen will line up directly across from one offensive lineman. It'll be either the center or a guard, maybe a tackle. Usually, though, it's either a guard or the center. They'll line up directly across from that guy. And then at the snap of the ball, they engage directly with that person, one-on-one. And Akeem Hicks was fantastic at it. His upper body strength was such that he could immediately drive that player back, drive him straight into the backfield. I mean, we've all loved the highlight reels of Hicks literally driving an offensive lineman into the running back after they get the handoff and uses the offensive lineman as a shield to tackle the running back. Or to just completely shove that guy so far back, then disengage and go get the quarterback. He's fantastic at it. In a 4-man defensive line, however, you don't line up directly across from an offensive lineman. Instead, what you do is you line up in a gap. You'll line up in between 2 offensive linemen. You'll line up in between the guard and the center, in between the tackle and the guard. The defensive ends might even go to the extreme of lining up on the outside of the offensive tackle. So he'd be in between the offensive tackle and an imaginary player, or in between the offensive tackle and the tight end. And then the idea is you try to split the gap in between those offensive linemen. Either confuse them on whose assignment it is to try to get in that person's way, or to just be agile and smooth enough to, as that offensive lineman has to turn to try and engage with you, you can just throw off that engagement and then make your way to the ball carrier, be it a running back or wide receiver, quarterback, whomever the case may be. It's a different skill set. And Akeem Hicks' best asset is his brute force strength, that he can just overwhelm somebody right away at the point of contact. Well, when you're trying to shoot a gap, when you're trying to run in between 2 people, you can't use your strength. You have to use agility. You have to use quickness. You have to use escapability. It's a different skill set. So to try to put Akeem Hicks in there, it's not to say that he couldn't do it. And I don't want this to sound like Akeem Hicks is a bad player in any way, shape, or form. I'm usually not a big scheme over talent guy. I believe that talent makes the scheme far more than the scheme makes the talent, meaning that at the NFL level, whatever you can run any scheme you want, provided you tailor it to the talent you have, or you can make any player work so long as you devise a system that's right for them. Or ultimately, it doesn't matter how good, on the flip side, it doesn't matter how good your scheme is. If you don't have talented players running it, it's going to fail. So I don't want it to sound like I'm knocking Akeem Hicks. I'm just saying that this is not the right defense for him. He needs to go somewhere where he can use that strength. He can use that great attribute that he has of just running through somebody on his way, running over somebody, pushing somebody out of the way on his way to the ball carrier. And in a gap style defense, which is what they're now going to be running with Matt Eberflus, he can't use that. He can't use his best attribute. And to have a player in a system where you are willingly and intentionally not allowing him to consistently do what he does best, it's not a fit for the Bears, and it's not a fit for Akeem Hicks. Yes, there are plenty of intangibles that Akeem Hicks can offer. Leadership, veracity, vocality, being a very vocal presence on that sideline. Sure, those are wonderful things, and they're great attributes. But you also have to be able to produce on the field in order for that to carry weight. If you're just a guy screaming on the sidelines, and then when it's your turn to produce, you can't do it, people are going to tune you out really fast. So I respectfully disagree with Eric Lambert. The Bears do not need to bring Akeem Hicks back. I hope that Akeem winds up someplace great and is able to enjoy some success this season, maybe even get a ring before this season is done. All right, we are going to take one more break, and then on the flip side of that, we need to talk some hoops. We need to talk about the Bulls and some things going on in the NBA. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Live.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick with you here for just a few more minutes, one more segment before we get out of here and make way for Taryn Rodriguez and Set Point, getting you caught up on all things in the world of volleyball. I wanted to talk about the Chicago Bulls a little bit here in this last segment before we got out of here. I wanted to talk about Zach LaVine, and then unfortunately there was some injury, kind of an injury update that David Kaplan over at ESPN had for us concerning Lonzo Ball. Wanted to kind of get everybody up to speed on that. To kind of tie us in, though, and bring us in a little bit, I got a very cool opportunity last week. For those that don't know, IE Sports Radio, we're partners with USRN and USRN2, the Ultimate Sports Radio Network. Their stations where Matthew Owens and Seth Eves, and also Wellington Sports Radio. We're also partnered with them. So USRN, USRN2, and Wellington Sports Radio. IE Sports Radio is partnered with all three of those networks. Matthew Owens, Seth Eves, Pierre Moss. You heard Pierre there in the drop about New York. They do a great job doing live broadcasts of sporting events where it gives you an opportunity if there's a game that you can't catch, you can't make the regular broadcast. We do alternative broadcasts on the internet of these. And also it gives us a chance to kind of have some fun and get to do play-by-play. I got offered the opportunity to do play-by-play for the Golden State Warriors Memphis Grizzlies game last Friday night. This was a dream come true for me to get to do play-by-play for a game. It was very cool. I just wanted to share with you real quick just one highlight from it. I promise I'm not this vain and egotistical to try to, convince you, oh man, you listen to how good I did. I just wanted to share one play with you though, just because it was so much fun, and I had such a fun time doing it. So wanted to share just one play. This is from Friday night, IE Sports Radio over on Mixler.com. This is where we do our live game broadcast from the fourth quarter between the Warriors and the Grizzlies. And 5 seconds to go. Steph Curry in no hurry to bring the ball over the timeline, gets it over. Tysus Jones trying to defend him a little bit. Now Steven Adams, Curry pulls up for a long three and hits it. 102-92. The gym is in range for Steph Curry, and he just showed it right there, just in front of the 7. That was courtesy of IE Sports Radio coverage of the Golden State Warriors Memphis Grizzlies Game 6 of the second round of the Western Conference semifinal game from Friday night. I had a lot of fun doing that. That was a lot of. Hopefully I'll get to call another game sometime here soon. I actually put out a call for some hockey action later this week. Those who don't know, I also I'm co-host of the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio with Zach Pupples tomorrow night. We'll look at doing that if just life willing. But it was a ton of fun. But I wanted to kind of segue that into some Bulls talk a little bit. First of all, there was news that came out earlier today from David Kaplan over at ESPN 1000 that he's hearing and he's heard from some Bulls people that they are not very pleased with the progress that Lonzo Ball is making, that he is still having problems with the same knee that he had surgery on. That he's still, when he tries to ramp things up and pick things up game-wise, that he has problems and he's limited. That's troubling because of how long he's been out, how long he's already been hurt, and he's still not able to ramp up to game speed. That's problematic. That's troubling. That's disconcerting. He's one of the pieces that you're hoping on. I mean, he signed a 4-year deal last year with the Bulls. He's only 1 year into a 4-year, $80 million deal. If you're going to lose him to significant time over multiple seasons due to a knee injury, I mean, you're bringing back shades of Derrick Rose there of, just missing a key piece to your puzzle. And then another piece that you don't know what's going on with right now is Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is set to hit free agency. He had some nice words for the fans. He had some nice words for the team. He has said he'd like to come back and play for the Bulls. The Bulls have said they'd like him to come back. Michael Reinsdorf, effectively the owner of the team. I know he's not really the owner, but for intents and purposes, he runs the team for Dad, for Jerry. Michael Reinsdorf has said he wants LaVine back, whatever the cost. They're playing an interesting game here, Acme. Kernishovitz and Mark Eversley. I love that nickname, by the way, Acme. They're playing an interesting game here with Zach LaVine. The Bulls can offer him the most money. They're the only ones that can offer him a max deal. But letting him test free agency, I wouldn't be surprised if he's willing to take less money from a different team if the Bulls don't offer him a max deal. He signed with Sacramento once before when he was a restricted free agent. The Bulls matched the offer, obviously. And I have heard people make the argument and state the case that, well, Zach LaVine's not a max contract kind of a guy, so let him go. But explain to me how the Bulls are better without Zach LaVine. I know that LaVine struggled down the stretch. He needs surgery. He got injured. It happens. And I know that it didn't end the way you'd like it to with him. And I know that the Bulls, you can't just run back the exact same team and expect a different result. At least I don't feel that way about this team. DeMar DeRozan, I think you're far more likely to see him regress next season. I don't think it's very likely you're going to get the exact same season out of him again. Nikola Vucevic is not great. He's not progressing like you thought he would. Ayo Dosunmu, yeah, I mean, you hope you got something there with him, but it's very possible that you just struck lightning in the bottle with him this past season and maybe he'll come back down to earth a little bit. Or maybe he becomes a piece that you're able to trade, that you're able to look at and say, hey, here's a guy that played here's a young kid that played extremely well, but he's going to hit free agency because he's a second-round pick. He's going to hit free agency a little bit sooner rather than later. Let's sell high on him and try to get back another piece that we need. I don't think the Bulls can just absolutely just bring back the exact same roster and just automatically expect that they're going to improve, that they're going to be able to go deep into the playoffs. I think we saw too much from other teams in the playoffs that showed you that the Bulls aren't on that level. But I don't see how you improve without Zach LaVine. I don't see how not having Zach LaVine makes the Bulls better next season. It's going to be a very long summer between following LaVine news and Lonzo Ball news. It's going to be a very, very long summer for Bulls fans. All right, that is going to do it for our show this week. Some thank yous to put out there. Of course, thank you to the Southern California Warriors for being our sponsor for not just this show, but all the shows on the network. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Los Great, Key to the Gate, and our anonymous supporter. Thank you, and once again, congratulations to Larry and Cecilia on tying the knot yesterday. The picture that they posted around the station in the group chat was great. It was excellent. Like the pink tie, Larry. That was a strong choice. Looked great. Cecilia, your wedding dress looked very pretty dress from Cecilia. Congratulations to the both of them. And thank you to both of them for all the hard work they do behind the scenes. Thank you to Taryn for hanging out in the chat room with me a little bit tonight. Finally, thank you for coming and listening to the show, whether it was here live tonight on Monday the 16th or it was later on in the week, whenever you listen to it. Just thank you for including me in your sports conversation, your sports dialogue. I had a lot of fun doing it. If you want to hear some more from me, I will be on again tomorrow night on the Neutral Zone with Zach Puplis. That's at 8 Central. So exactly 24 hours from now, I'll be back on. We will be breaking down the NHL's first round and getting ready for the second round, plus some other news around the hockey world. Stick around right now, though. Taryn Rodriguez is up next with Set Point. He will be getting us caught up on everything happening in the world of volleyball. For IE Sports Radio, I am Adam Karnick. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy the nice weather we're having. It's becoming almost summer outside. Enjoy it while you can. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy all the other sports. We will talk next week. See you then.